Well, my first ever attempt at binding has been resting overnight, and I came down this morning and was afraid that I'd take off the tape and the binding would fall off. But, well, it hasn't. A few interesting little lessons learned here. Everything seems pretty solid. The repair I made with wood filler around the edge here seems to have taken okay. Where we do have a little issue is here, for example, not pushed in tightly, so we have a gap here. So we'll look at filling that in some way. The other side's okay, but the pressure on the curve isn't quite so much as here. One small loose piece here. Maybe I can apply acetone there and pull it a bit tighter. The binding here has sort of melted the binding. The binding here has been melted by the acetone in interesting sort of a feature. A smallish gap here. And in the bottom corner where the jack hole is, there wasn't a perfect curve around there. So the binding, I didn't push it or hold it tightly there, so we have a small gap there where the binding has maintained its curve rather than against the wood, the same issue we saw in the other couple of places. So by and large, pretty impressed with my first attempt at binding there. Not sure if you like the colour, but I do. And how will it look against the my mock-up of the black here? We'll see. We'll see. But I think it's different. Right, now, after the almost success with the binding, I have fixed this corner here with more acetone. Done the same here. Used the needle here to inject some acetone into the thin gaps here. Filled a little bit of wood filler in there to cover the gap that interestingly was created by the slight flat surface here for the jack. That's a flat. Maybe next time with the binding I would apply a clamp to hold it flat against there. But a bit too late for that now. And also here I had a clamp across here to hold more acetone, which I injected into here, and that all seems like it's worked okay. So now I need to scrape the binding down because it's showing slightly proud, not all the way around interestingly, but it's slightly proud. So here's our first attempt at scraping. Now I don't have a scraper. I think I have one on order from Crimson, but my package hasn't arrived yet. So now we're going to try to improvise. This is an old chisel, which I got the rust off and sharpened yesterday, so we'll start off with that and just see how well it works. Making this up as we go along, people, so a bit of flexibility. That's rocking on the bench, so let's apply this towel that I believe belongs to my sister, but I'm sure she's quite happy to donate it. Okay, let's go. Interestingly, and it looks like this chisel is pretty sharp, which surprises me after I sharpened it yesterday, but this, scraping it very gently in this manner, seems to be more effective. You have to be careful, of course, not to touch or dig into the wood, but so far, with a sharp blade and very, very gently, it seems to be working quite well. Probably right up to the point where I dig the chisel into the wood, but it hasn't happened yet. One interesting thing is this sort of getting a feeling, getting a learning for the binding, the plastic itself, how tough it is, how it reacts. It's only something you can do if you're actually hands-on. Well, let's do some sanding. See how that has an impact on the binding and the one or two tiny little scrape marks I made on the surface of the wood. The noise in the background is the washing machine, which my son has just started. I have no idea what a washing machine is doing in my workshop. This is 240. You now hear my wife in the background talking to the washing machine. She's gone quiet. She's very shy. Well, that feels and looks quite good. Now, whilst we're at it, let's do the back. The back had the binding already from the body, the reject body that I bought. But let's sand the back whilst we're at it. Well, there we are for now. Something really nice about a smooth surface. Not perfect by any means, but as a first start, it's quite curious putting a little bit of water here on top of the area that I put the wood filler in. once I start painting, it'll be interesting to see how much the wood filler vanishes. The other main one, of course, was the whole reason for this being a reject piece. The large piece missing off the side here. Let's see what we can do with that. Out of curiosity, whether we can see that there is filler there. I'm sure it will show up, but as I say, multiple layers of paint might help that to vanish completely. Okay, a quick word now about the neck. This, of course, is the big one. It's a maple neck. Various issues I have. I don't have the tools yet to check out its level or its frets, the quality of that. It has a plastic nut. Not really sure whether I'm going to leave that there or take the opportunity to create a new nut. The inlays are, originally I thought they were just paint, but feeling them, it appears not. They're pretty boring, and they would allow me to do a bit of inlaying. Of course, the frets have already been put in. I'd love to do some sort of inlay here. And then, of course, the dots on the side are pretty boring. Whether I keep the neck that colour or stain it, I still am unsure. Whether I put staining on the back, and even whether I stick with the idea of chopping it off here, still not sure. So the neck now is going to take a bit of thought.